the coherence field. Particle.
He can't wound them all.
Let's go, get out.
Bad boys gonna do.
I use them to find my keys.
He kind of looks like...
Don't talk much, do you? Sit down! Why are they always trying to kill you? I know what's going on here has to be.
It's yours too, I believe.
In a post-apocalyptic future, human resistance leader John Connor sends soldier Kyle Reese back to 1984 to protect his mother, Sarah Connor, from a Terminator assassin. However, Kyle arrives in an altered timeline where Sarah has been raised by a reprogrammed Terminator. They must travel forward to 2017 to stop Skynet, now an operating system called Genesis, from launching a global nuclear attack.
028.
Maybe at the bottom.
John.
I think he's doing.
I know who you destroy me,
I know what you are and what you're.
but you're too...
People know how to do it.
It's sped up. Why?
Guys, the clock speeds up. This way. As an alternative, I was able to program access to survive the blast.
Dangerous?
Polyalloy required.
Do it now!
I cannot kill Sarah Connor.
What happened?
Oh, John Connor.
We die tonight. And what we did so that they could live. God!
Skynet has been destroyed.
It's up.
I know that. You know, but we already took care of him.
I did not kill him.
How, Sarah?
It's me, Sarah. All right, let's shoot him!
Well, I didn't know exactly.
Pretty sure? Crap.
Had to.
Things that want to happen. Or... like...
You know what will...
I don't feel pity.
The coherence field. Particle.
He can't wound him all.
Let's go, get out.
Bad boys gonna do.
I use him to find my keys.
He kind of looks like.
Don't talk much, do you? Sit down!
Why are they always trying to kill you? I know what's going on here has to be.
It's yours too, I believe.
You gotta get him off me! Cyberdyne! They got us! All right, Sarah, I need you to back
Security 028.
maybe at the bottom.
John.
I think he's doing.
I know who you destroy me,
I know what you are and what you.
but you're too.
People know how to do it.
It's sped up. Why?
Guys, the clock speeds up. This way. As an alternative, I was able to program access to survive the blast.
Dangerous?
Polyalloy required. I cannot kill Sarah Connor.
What happened?
Oh, John Connor.
have to get out of here. We have
Dead? Yeah, I know that. I mean,
Hey guys, today we are diving headfirst into the convoluted but fascinating timeline of a sci-fi classic reimagined as we look at Terminator Genisys. This movie takes everything you thought you knew about the war between man and machine and throws it into a blender of alternate realities and high-tech chaos. If you had a good time with this, a like and a subscribe is a free way to help me keep making more. Grab your leather jackets and sunglasses because this is going to be a wild ride through time. The story begins in the year 2029, where the world is a charred husk of its former self. We see the ruins of Los Angeles through the eyes of a young Kyle Reese, who remembers the world before the bombs fell, though those memories are fading like an old photograph left in the sun. The soundscape is dominated by the rhythmic crunch of metal feet on human bone and the distant high-pitched whine of hunter-killer drones patrolling the smoggy skies. There is a heavy, oppressive atmosphere here, where the air smells like burnt ozone and desperation. John Connor, the legendary leader of the human resistance, is preparing for the final assault on Skynet. This is the moment they have all been fighting for. We see the resistance fighters huddled in shadows, their faces smeared with grease and ash as they check their pulse rifles. The metallic click of magazines being slammed into place echoes through the concrete tunnels. John gives a speech that is supposed to be inspiring, but you can tell he is carrying the weight of the entire species on his shoulders. He knows what has to happen because he has lived with the prophecy of this war his entire life. The world building here is top-notch, showing us a Skynet that is not just a bunch of robots, but a massive global network of cold, calculating logic. The Resistance launches a two-pronged attack. One team hits the Skynet Central Core in Colorado, while John and Kyle lead the charge on a secret facility in Los Angeles that houses something called the time displacement equipment. The action is frantic, with purple laser fire lighting up the night and the deafening boom of explosions rocking the ground. You can almost feel the heat from the plasma bolts as they sizzle through the air. The Resistance successfully smashes through the perimeter, but Skynet has a backup plan, because of course it does. Just as the machines are losing the war, they send a lone T-800 back to 1984 to kill Sarah Connor. If they can erase John from existence, the war is won before it even starts. John knows this is coming, and he needs a volunteer to go back and protect her. Kyle Reese steps up without a second thought, because he is basically the ultimate ride-or-die soldier. As Kyle enters the time machine, which looks like a massive spinning cage of glowing blue energy and crackling lightning, something goes wrong. He sees a soldier named Alex, who is actually a physical manifestation of Skynet, attack John. The sound is a sickening wet thud as John is grabbed and everything starts to shift. Kyle is caught in a temporal storm, experiencing flashes of a life he never lived. He sees himself as a child in a peaceful world, looking at a mirror and telling himself that Genisys is Skynet. This is the first big hint that the rules of this universe are changing. The time machine hums with a deep, vibrating bass that you can feel in your teeth before Kyle is hurtled through the void and dumped into a dark alleyway in 1984. The transition to the 80s is jarring. The oppressive gray of the future is replaced by the neon glow and grime of Los Angeles. Kyle is naked and confused, trying to find his bearings, while the sounds of the city, like the distant siren of a police car and the hum of streetlights, fill the air. He manages to steal some pants from a homeless man, which is a classic franchise trope at this point. But things are immediately different from the original story. Instead of just dodging the cops, Kyle is hunted by a T-1000. This is the liquid metal assassin we remember from the second movie, but he is here much earlier than expected. The T-1000 makes a distinct metallic sloshing sound as it moves, and its footsteps are unnervingly silent on the pavement. It transforms its arm into a long, gleaming blade that cuts through a police car with a sharp screeching sound. Just when it looks like Kyle is toast, a truck crashes through the scene. The driver is Sarah Connor, but she is not the terrified waitress we expected. She is a total badass, wearing tactical gear and wielding a high-powered rifle. She shouts at Kyle to get in if he wants to live, and the irony of her using that line is not lost on us. But the real kicker is who is in the back of the truck. It is an aged T-800 that Sarah calls Pops. This is a huge shift in the world building. Apparently, this Terminator was sent back to 1973 to protect Sarah when she was just a kid, after a different assassin killed her parents. He has been her guardian for over a decade, which explains why his synthetic skin has aged and his hair is gray. It is a fascinating look at how the biological components of a Terminator react to time. Pops and Sarah have spent years preparing for this moment, building a hidden bunker filled with weapons, and even constructing their own crude version of a time machine. The chemistry between them is great, with Pops acting like a grumpy, overprotective dad who happens to be a multi-hundred-pound killing machine. He tries to smile at Kyle, but it looks more like a terrifying grimace, which is one of those moments of levity that makes the movie fun. They head to a department store to gear up, and the T-1000 follows them. This leads to a spectacular confrontation where the liquid metal assassin uses pieces of itself as projectiles. The sound of the metal hitting the walls is like heavy rain on a tin roof. Sarah and Pops have a plan, though. They have rigged the store with a chemical trap. They lure the T-1000 under a series of sprinklers that douse it in acid. The sound of the acid eating into the liquid metal is a horrific hissing and bubbling noise. The T-1000 writhes and shrieks as its molecular structure breaks down. Pops finishes the job by holding the assassin under the flow, even as his own hands are being damaged. The smell of melting plastic and metal must be incredible. Once the immediate threat is gone, Kyle is understandably losing his mind. He is trying to figure out how the timeline got so messed up. Sarah explains that the future John told him about no longer exists. They are in a new timeline where the rules have been rewritten. Kyle shares his vision about Genesis, telling them that they need to travel forward to 2017 to stop Skynet from being born as a global operating system. Pops agrees, noting that the magnetic field required for their homemade time machine is incredibly volatile. They decide to jump 33 years into the future. Pop stays behind because he cannot travel through time with his metal endoskeleton exposed by the acid damage, plus he needs to spend the next few decades setting things up for them. It is a long game strategy that shows how patient an AI can be. Sarah and Kyle arrive in 2017, right in the middle of a busy highway. The world of 2017 is a stark contrast to both the ruins of 2029 and the neon of 1984. It is clean, bright, and terrifyingly connected. Everyone is staring at their tablets and phones, which is a nice bit of social commentary. The sounds of modern traffic and the chirping of notifications fill the air. They are immediately arrested because appearing naked on a freeway tends to do that. While in the hospital, they are visited by a detective named O'Brien, who turns out to be a guy Kyle saved back in 1984. He is played by J.K. Simmons, and he is the only person who believes their crazy time travel story. But then the biggest twist of the movie happens. John Connor walks into the room. At first, it seems like a miracle. He looks healthy, and he tells them he is there to help. But Pops arrives and immediately shoots John in the chest with a shotgun. The blast is a deafening roar in the small hospital room. Sarah and Kyle scream in horror, but John just stands back up. His wounds glow with a strange golden light, and the holes in his body fill in with swirling metallic dust. This is the T-3000. It turns out that when Skynet attacked John in the future, it didn't kill him. It infected him with machine phase matter at a cellular level. John is no longer human. He is a nanotechnological hybrid. This is a massive expansion of the Terminator lore. The T-3000 is not liquid metal like the T-1000. It is held together by a complex magnetic field, and it is much faster and more durable. The sound it makes when it moves is a low hum like a high-voltage transformer. John tries to convince Sarah and Kyle to join him, saying that the evolution of humanity is inevitable. He talks about Genesis not as a weapon, but as the ultimate connection. The world building here focuses on how Skynet evolved from a defense program into a consumer product that people would willingly invite into their homes and pockets. It is a much more insidious version of the apocalypse. A massive chase sequence ensues as they try to escape John. They end up on the Golden Gate Bridge, and the scale of the action is huge. The sound of screeching tires and crashing metal is constant. John, as the T-3000, shows off his abilities by phasing through objects and moving like a cloud of angry metallic bees. Pops uses his brute strength to fight John, but it is clear the T-3000 is superior. The bridge begins to tear apart, and the groaning of the steel cables is a terrifying sound that vibrates through the entire scene. They manage to trap John temporarily using a heavy-duty industrial magnet, which disrupts his cellular structure. The sound of the magnet engaging is a deep metallic thud, followed by a high-pitched whine as John struggles to stay solid. They realize that the only way to stop Skynet for good is to destroy the Cyberdyne headquarters before the Genesis app goes live. The countdown to the launch is everywhere on billboards and screens, creating a sense of mounting dread. The world is literally counting down to its own extinction, and they are the only ones who know it. They break into the Cyberdyne facility, which is a temple of glass and light. The architecture is futuristic and cold, representing the inhuman logic behind the software. As they plant explosives, they are once again hunted by John. The final battle is a three-way struggle between Sarah, Kyle, and the T-3000, while Pops tries to hold the line. The sound of the T-3000 hitting the T-800 is like a sledgehammer hitting an anvil. John knows that Skynet has already sent a T-800 back to 1984 to kill his mother. He has to send Kyle back to stop it. Kyle volunteers because he has spent his whole life looking at a dirty photograph of Sarah Connor. He is in love with a legend. As Kyle steps into the machine, he has to go in naked because that is just a rule the universe decided to enforce. No clothes, no weapons, just skin and bone against a machine. As the machine starts to spin, the wind picks up. It is a localized hurricane of temporal energy. The blue sparks dance across the floor. Suddenly, something goes wrong. John is attacked by one of his own men, who turns out to be a new kind of machine. Kyle sees this from inside the sphere. He screams as the world begins to dissolve. This is a nexus point. This is the moment where the timeline fractures and creates a whole new reality. Kyle sees flashes of a life he never lived. He sees himself as a child in a peaceful world, looking in a mirror and telling himself that Genesis is Skynet. The sound of his own voice echoing in his head is haunting. Then there is a flash of light so bright it feels like it is burning your redness, and the sound of a vacuum sealing shut.
Kyle lands in a dark alley in 1984. The pavement is wet and smells like garbage and rain. The transition from the war-torn future to the neon-lit 80s is jarring. You hear the distant sound of a police siren and the hum of a city that has no idea it is about to end. Kyle is disoriented. He finds some clothes, but he is immediately hunted. Not by the police, but by a T-1000. This is the liquid metal model, and the sound it makes when it walks is a soft metallic clicking. When it forms a blade out of its arm, you hear a sharp shink sound that sets your teeth to edge. This should not be happening. The T-1000 was not supposed to be here yet. The rules of the world have changed. Kyle is cornered in a department store. The smell of new shoes and plastic is overwhelming. Suddenly, a van crashes through the wall. The sound of breaking glass and twisting metal is deafening. A woman jumps out and tells Kyle to come with her if he wants to live. It is Sarah Connor, but she is not the terrified waitress from the original stories. She is a soldier. She handles her weapon with a practiced ease. She is accompanied by an older T-800 that she calls Pops. This is the ultimate world-building twist. Someone sent a Terminator back to Sarah's childhood to protect her. The machine has been her father figure for years. Its skin has aged because organic tissue does that, but underneath it is still a chassis of hyperalloy. The sound of the T-800's heavy footsteps on the store floor is a reminder of its power. It is a relic of a future that is trying to fix itself. They head to a hidden bunker. The walls are covered in maps and weapons. It smells like gun oil and old coffee. Sarah explains that the timeline they are in is a mess. The 1984 they are in is a battleground. They have to deal with the T-1000 that is still tracking them. The liquid metal machine is a marvel of technology. It can mimic anyone. It is a ghost in the machine. When it walks through a gate, the sound of the metal bars passing through its body is like a spoon scraping the bottom of a bowl. Sarah and the Guardian have set a trap. They use acid to dissolve the T-1000. The sound of the acid sizzling against the mimetic polyalloy is a disgusting, bubbly hiss.
The T-1000 screams in a digital, distorted voice before it finally melts away into a puddle of useless silver. But they are not safe yet. The Guardian has been building a time machine of his own. It is a crude version of the one from the future, held together by 1980s technology and sheer willpower. It looks like a giant science project gone wrong. The hum it produces is unstable and jittery. Sarah and Kyle have to decide when to go. Kyle tells her about his visions. He knows that Judgment Day has been pushed back. It is not 1997 anymore. It is 2017. Skynet is coming back as an app called Genesis. It is the ultimate Trojan horse. People are going to invite the end of the world into their pockets.
They jump forward in time. The sensation of time travel is described as a crushing weight on every cell in your body. It is the sound of 1,000 bells ringing at once, followed by a sudden, terrifying silence. They land in the middle of a highway in 2017. The world is bright and loud. There are digital billboards everywhere. Everyone is staring at their phones. The blue glow of the screens is the new campfire for humanity. This is the world building of the digital age. Genesis is about to go live. It is an operating system that connects everything: your phone, your car, your house, and the military. It is a spiderweb of data. Sarah and Kyle are arrested almost immediately. They look like lunatics in their hospital gowns. The hospital smells like antiseptic and cold air. While they are being questioned, a man walks in. It is John Connor. He looks older, wiser, and he is a hero. Sarah is overwhelmed with emotion. She sees the son she hasn't met yet. But the Guardian arrives and immediately shoots John. The sound of the shotgun blast in the hospital hallway is a booming roar that echoes off the tile walls. Sarah screams in horror, but then something impossible happens. John gets back up. His wounds glow with a golden, sandy light. He is not human anymore. He is the T-3000. Skynet did not just kill John Connor. It infected him with nanites. Every cell in his body has been replaced by machine components. He is a hybrid. The sound he makes when he moves is a soft, shifting rustle, like dry leaves blowing across a sidewalk. He is the ultimate predator. He explains that he is the bridge between man and machine. He is the evolution of the species. The world building here takes a dark turn. The savior of humanity is now its destroyer. The fight in the hospital is brutal. John's movements are fluid and unnatural. He can phase through objects. When the Guardian punches him, the sound is a dull thud, like hitting a bag of sand. John throws them around like ragdolls. They manage to escape using a magnetic resonance imaging machine. The magnets disrupt John's nanites. The sound of the MRI machine ramping up is a high-pitched squeal that makes your ears bleed. John's body begins to pull apart, his face stretching and distorting in the magnetic field. They use the distraction to get away.
They are now on the run in a world that is counting down to its own destruction. Genesis is set to launch in less than 24 hours. They need to get to the Cyberdyne headquarters to blow up the servers. The Guardian has been preparing for this for decades. He has a secret base filled with heavy artillery. The smell of gunpowder and metal is their only comfort. Sarah and Kyle have to learn to trust each other. They are the only ones who know the truth. The world outside is busy buying the latest gadgets, unaware that their new operating system is a death sentence. The Guardian works on their weapons, his mechanical hands moving with precision. He is a machine trying to be a protector, and his dry, sarcastic remarks provide a bit of levity in the gloom. He tells Kyle that he is old but not obsolete. It is a mantra for a machine that has outlived its original purpose. The final act takes place at the Cyberdyne campus. It is a gleaming fortress of glass and steel. It represents the pinnacle of human achievement and the depth of human arrogance. The air conditioning hums softly, a stark contrast to the chaos about to erupt. They break in, and the sound of the alarms is a rhythmic, pulsing blare. They have to plant explosives on the server core. The core is a massive room filled with glowing blue towers of data. It is the brain of Skynet. John Connor is waiting for them. He is faster and stronger than ever. The fight between the Guardian and John is a clash of titans. It is the old-school metal against the new-age nanotech. You hear the heavy, metallic clang of the Guardian's fists hitting John's shifting body. Sparks fly everywhere. John uses his nanites to form blades and whips. The sound of the metal slicing through the air is a sharp whistle. Outside, the countdown is visible on every screen. Genesis is uploading. It is a digital virus spreading across the planet. Kyle and Sarah are fighting off the facility's security and the holographic avatars of Skynet. The avatars look like children, which is a creepy bit of psychological world-building. Skynet is choosing a form that triggers a protective instinct in humans. It is a predator wearing a sheep's mask. The sound of the holographic voices is thin and distorted, like a bad radio signal. They finally reach the detonators, but John is not going to let them win.
He drags the Guardian into the prototype time machine located in the basement. This time machine is unfinished. It is a swirling vortex of magnetic energy that hasn't stabilized. The sound is a chaotic roar, like a jet engine in a small room.
The Guardian knows what he has to do. He pins John inside the magnetic field. The nanites are being ripped apart by the sheer force of the gravity. You hear the sound of metal being pulverized at a molecular level. It is a high-frequency scream that goes on and on. The Guardian tells Sarah to go. He is sacrificing himself to ensure the future. Sarah and Kyle dive into a bunker just as the explosives go off. The explosion is a wall of sound that wipes out everything else. You feel the heat in the description. The building collapses in a heap of rubble and twisted girders. The light of the fire reflects off the debris. It is quiet for a long time. The only sound is the crackle of burning wires and the settling of the ruins. Sarah and Kyle emerge from the bunker. They are covered in ash. They think the Guardian is gone. But then a liquid metal arm reaches out of the shadows. It is the Guardian. During the explosion, he was thrown into a vat of mimetic polyalloy. He has been upgraded. He is now a T-800 with T-1000 capabilities. The sound of his new body forming is a smooth liquid ripple. He is no longer old. He is something entirely new. The world building concludes with the idea that the loop has been broken. They travel to a countryside where the air is fresh and smells like grass. Kyle meets his younger self and gives him the message about Genesis. He is closing the loop of his own memories. The sun rises over a world that doesn't have to end. They drive off into the distance, the hum of the car engine a peaceful sound compared to the roar of the machines. The war has been delayed or maybe even stopped. They have a chance to write a new story. The rules of the universe have been rewritten by a woman, a soldier, and a machine who learned to be a father. The journey of Sarah and her metallic guardian reminds us that the future is never truly written. It is a canvas that we paint with our own choices and sacrifices. Even in a world dominated by cold logic and calculated algorithms, the human spirit finds a way to endure. We see that family is not just about blood, but about the bonds of loyalty and shared purpose. The machines may try to define our destiny, but we are the ones who hold the pen. Life is a series of moments that we must fight to protect against the inevitable march of time. Terminator Genesis takes a massive swing at the franchise's complex lore, and while it might be a lot to process, its world building is second to none. It forces us to ask if we are becoming too reliant on the very technology that could eventually replace us. It is a spectacular visual journey that keeps the spirit of Sarah Connor alive while daring to imagine a new beginning.